Hello and good day, class and Professor Masline. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy throughout this pandemic. But today I'm here to talk to you a little bit about my internship at APR Energy. And so now most of you are probably asking, what exactly is APR Energy? What do the letters stand for? Well, they never told me what the letters stand for, but I can tell you what it's about. So APR Energy is essentially a specialized power solutions company. That probably doesn't solve much of your questions. Probably still wonder what exactly that means. Essentially, that means they provide quick, reliable power. And so what exactly does quick power mean? Reliable power, of course, means that it just stays up and that doesn't go down. Quick, however, does not mean that power itself is moving quickly. It means that we're setting it up on quick time frames. So, for example, JEA, not a quick power company. They have plenty of time to set up things in advance. On the other hand, APR Energy, we do things like military contracts, third world countries, and emergency disaster responses. So examples like this are, let's say that Haiti has another hurricane hit them, power outlet goes down, they contact APR Energy, and we come in and we set up a power turbine within a couple of months. Much shorter timelines than you normally have for setting up a power outlet. So of course we have, dozens of megawatts being put in these turbines in a short period of time. It's a very demanding industry. Something that I didn't even know was really a market out there until I started working for the company. But lo and behold, it is a booming business, and there's millions, if not billions, of dollars to be made. So APR Energy itself employs hundreds of people across the world. We have people. We often hire local help from the places that we're working. So for example, if we're in Guatemala, something like that, we're hiring local employees there. From Jacksonville, however, we have about 100 people domestically and in the office, and that was where I was stationed. Thankfully, I didn't have to. I didn't have to go out to any of the countries and actually do any work. That field service was not available to interns, and I was happy to hear that, to be honest. Um, so a little bit more into my role and what I did in APR Energy, though. Here are a couple of examples from things we were doing. As you can see in the top left up there, we have some of our electrical equipment going out. Same in the right over there. I don't actually know what countries those are from. Those are just a couple examples of our operations. The bottom picture down there, some of my colleagues, I actually helped during that program. You see all those brown bags in the back of that van. We were actually taking we were getting stuff for educational equipment, excuse me, for poor people, poor students in the Jacksonville area. So we also do some volunteer work, not only here but in the countries that we go to. We'll often, fund things. We'll fund educational programs to get a little bit of good news in that way. Given a news coverage, I actually helped bag a couple of those. And if you look behind them, that cage is where we kept a lot of IT equipment. So I spent a lot of time working in that warehouse area. So when I was brought on board, there we had a couple of learning objectives. For the most part, we essentially discussed, essential ideas and programs, things of the sort. Some of those were Power BI, SQL, SharePoint, the imaging of laptops, Service Desk, of course, and then the actual business application of IT. So Power BI, the engineers ended up working with a little bit more than I did. I didn't get too much exposure to that, but it's essentially a way of taking data and making it make sense to the naked eye. If anybody's worked with SQL, of course, SQL is data in the same way, except that it doesn't really make sense to the naked eye. It's sort of gibberish. Power BI works directly with SQL, and you can take it in and create more educational, more easy to approach graphs, things of the sort. Service Desk, of course, we just used Manage Engine, a Service Desk operation to manage our tickets. SharePoint, essentially a cloud service utilized by Microsoft. Most of you have probably worked with it in the business application. Essentially, the way the business all communicates with itself and transports data, things of the sort. Imaging of laptops, fairly straightforward stuff. Simply how you take an image of a laptop, throw it on new ones made so that everything's up to the baseline in regards to softwares that are installed, antivirus, things of the sort. And then business application of IT, that's a fairly broad statement, but essentially showing the way that IT fits into the role of the business world, which can be an easy thing to overlook at times. So as an intern, my personal responsibilities, first off, I help with tickets. So fairly straightforward. I'd come in, I'd have a certain number of tickets assigned to me. Not the same number, the same difficulty as what is given to a normal service desk user usually, or excuse me, service desk team member. But I was given enough that I was given a challenge with them. They oftentimes threw some really small things at me. Other times they'd throw more challenging things. They'd kind of let me work it out on my own so I could practice critical thinking. In times when I was faced with challenges, of course, I always had a mentor I could go to and ask for guidance. I was also set up the responsibility of checking the morning conference rooms. I won't bore you with that for the most part, just making sure that the audio and visual details of the conference rooms are all still working properly. 9 times out of 10 they were, so fairly easy. We also had town halls. I know many places have town halls. Essentially, if you do not have a town hall, it is where we would get together and we would broadcast to all of our different sites, and we have the CEO stand up there, maybe sometimes a couple of other speakers, and he would essentially give an update on where the business is, things of the sort like that. These were actually very, very important to us because a lot of these guys are out there, working in 100-degree weather, really humid areas. So this is a morale booster. I'd help set them up, and then I would often sit right down to the side of the building and watch them through my computer, make sure the audio and visual is going through and being maintained the whole time. Um, then, of course, there's laptop imaging and distribution. You can kind of put those pretty close together. They go hand in hand. So, of course, in regards to actually imaging the laptops, I was shown how they wrote it using PowerScript and things of the sort. Um, and then, other than that, they showed me how to distribute it and how to apply it to the actual Dell laptops that we were using. And I was personally responsible for imaging a lot of them. I did a great deal. As you see, I have an example back there of laptop imaging. It was a pretty similar appearance to that. Bunch of computers set up with power cords put in, Ethernet cords put in, and it's just applying images to them. So I would apply those images, make sure everything was installed properly, and then after that, I would distribute it to the user, which would mean, not only just handing them a user and saying, hey, have a good day. That means, of course, making sure their data is on there, making sure they're logged in properly, making sure they understand everything that computer can do for them. So a lot of communication with the customer in that kind of case. Data backup and migration also goes hand in hand with that, because of course not everybody is getting a new laptop. Sometimes sometimes it's not a new user getting a laptop. Sometimes it is an older user who's been with the company for 5 or 6 years who now has an old broken laptop that is now getting a new laptop. But of course they need the last 5, 6 years of work on their new laptop. In that kind of case, we often use OneDrive. Very simple, very easy to use. I would just go on there and make sure that everything is backing up on the old one. Desktop documents and pictures. Check around and make sure there's nothing else that they're missing. Have everything backed up. Log them onto the new one. Make sure they log into the proper OneDrive portal, and bang, it downloads everything. Perfect. Usually it was very rarely did I experience any problems with OneDrive not successfully backing anybody's stuff up. But in the event that it did, we made sure to always keep the old computer on hand as well, so that if they're missing some, we could just, hey, we still have it backed up. And then we could use just use a USB drive to move it over if it somehow got left behind. In regards to some of the accomplishments that I have managed here, so one of the things I was responsible for as well was cleaning up a bunch of old tickets, and I managed to successfully clean up several hundred old tickets. Most of them were generated by spam. I was able to identify these kind of spam resources and negate them, close the tickets created by them. There was a bunch of old tickets that had just been completed but never closed due to some poor management in the past. I went through, closed a bunch of them. Great effort for the service desk. Of course, once again, distributed dozens of laptops that I personally imaged, sometimes to foreign users as well. And imaging computers for foreign users in other countries, it presents an extra challenge. You have more cybersecurity challenges there. Many of them speak different languages and are different time barriers, so I had to make sure in those cases to make specific details for those laptops that were sent out to the other countries. I also help set up workplaces for whenever we get a new user in, go in there, make sure everything's cabled up properly, make sure they have their dual monitors and the ports and all that are working. Concise documentation. So anybody who's been in the IT world for a little while knows how important documentation is. APR was kind of struggling with documentation when I got there. And I helped them not only review the old documentation and show them, kind of how it was wrong through, and I can't take too much credit. All that I really did was sit there, do the documentation, and when I said, I don't know what I'm doing, it helped them realize the documentation was poor and how to fix that. So I helped them fix their old documentation, and I helped write new documentation. And then, of course, we would trial and error my documentation through the same manner. And I create some documentation for the imaging of laptops, distribution, data migration of laptops. To my knowledge, it's all still being used there at APR today. Then there's also the imaging of the CAD desktops. So we had some computer-assisted design desktops with 2 video cards inside of them. Because, of course, anybody who's worked with AutoCAD knows that it's a very beefy software. And when you're working with massive power, turbine sites and things of the sort need a lot of support. So I was able to distribute those, make sure to get the proper imaging on them. And then I was also responsible for the support of the CAD users who got those and then implemented them. And then once again, going deeper into the imaging and the shipping of the actual laptops for foreign users, I also got to see kind of the process of how you get them through customs and some of the things that need to be done for that. Not really a fun process. Don't recommend it if you can avoid it. And then, of course, just basic new tickets, basic service desk tickets that were thrown my way. I take them in, handle them, close them up real quick. If I couldn't handle them, I'd ask for help, or I'd just escalate it to a tier 2 user. Oftentimes, though, they were kind of to show me what it was I needed to do when I escalated something, which was great. I got to learn a little bit more outside of my zone, which is fantastic. I really appreciate that opportunity. So in conclusion, I think it was a fantastic internship. I learned a great deal about the way that IT applies to the business world, in addition to the way that IT itself, a lot of the details behind it. I learned a lot about the different softwares that were in there. I accomplished a lot for the company. They themselves said that they really appreciated the work that I did. I did a great deal of help for them, and I definitely benefited from it. Seeing the way that IT actually supported APR was great because, of course, being a power company, IT is not the first focus. We were more of a supportive role, and it was great to see the way that I was supporting the business, and it felt fantastic as well to know that I was a part of something bigger. Some of these people out there, they don't have any power, and they need power so that they can, have lights on in their homes. And, knowing that I was helping making that happen by just, doing some remote work on somebody's computer on the other side of the road, I mean, it was a good feeling. So definitely a great application in that way. It helped me also understand a lot about data structure. So what I mean by that is when learning about SharePoint and things like that, I learned a lot about what goes on behind the covers of SharePoint. Very complex. To be honest, I still have a lot to learn. SharePoint, cloud data, very deep rabbit hole. Still got a lot to learn about it. So I intend to continue learning about all that, but for the most part, I learned a great deal about how the cloud works and about how much it can actually do for a business. I can't imagine how we would have communicated data properly if it wasn't for the amount of stuff backed up and just saved on SharePoint in any decent time. Something else that I appreciated, not everybody would like this, but it forced me to be adaptable and responsive. What I mean by that is IT was just a little understaffed there, which meant that, and also because the responsive nature of APR, that meant that things can be going steady one minute, and the next thing you know, bang, we need another turbine out there. Things are rolling out like that. They're going quick. So in those kind of situations, it forced me to stop and drop what I was doing and then go over to the other thing. It kind of forced me to be able to change gears a little bit quicker. Not everybody would like that, but me personally, it gave me a lot of exposure to different things in IT. Of course, the things that I just listed, those are just kind of my day-to-day activities. But the number of, over the previous presentation, but the number of things that I had just thrown in my lap from time to time, I don't even have the time to go through all of it. I saw cybersecurity, networking, data management. I saw all sorts of stuff from IT going down. I got the opportunity to get my hands dirty in a lot of different areas of IT, and that's something that I really appreciated, and I thought it was fantastic. All the different exposure, I was totally open to that. It was fantastic. So I suppose that in conclusion, I would recommend APR to another IT intern. The only thing that I would say is that you just got to be ready to be in a fast-paced environment. But if you're like me and you don't mind the fast-paced nature of, kind of jump between things time to time, well, you're probably going to find yourself at home there. I certainly know that I did. I enjoyed the opportunity to jump around, grab a bunch of different things, and kind of get my hands on them. It was a fantastic learning experience for me, and I would certainly recommend it. Other than that, yes, that's the conclusion of my experience at APR Energy. So thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation. Stay safe and stay healthy out there. Good day.